Welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, we'll be talking about the ongoing doctors' strike. Well, to shed light on this matter, Professor Innocent Uja, the president of Nigeria Medical Association, joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us today on the program. Could you tell us, because I mean there are conflicting reports in the dailies, and then having listened to the minister, many still trying to piece together what really is going on. So from your perspective, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Where are we at the moment?
Well, good morning, Chamberlain. I'm delighted that I'm here. Let me first of all appreciate and thank Mr. President, who directed that all issues concerning the resident doctor strike must be resolved. And based on that directive, the Federal Ministry of Labor and other government agencies and the Nigerian Medical Association with its affiliates had two-day meeting. The first was on Friday, couldn't conclude, and then we extended it to Saturday till very late in the night. So we had very, very robust discussion. And each item was presented, resolved, and we went to the next one. So largely, as far as the Nigerian Medical Association is concerned, and also the affiliate, we agreed on all the 12 points, I think about 12 points, including the issue is not just resident doctors, also including Medical and Data Consultant Association of Nigeria, and also the Association of Medical Doctor Specialists in the academics. And it was time for us to look at the details. We went into the details, did a lot of editing. Areas that were offensive or were not in agreement were removed. And we then were convinced that if the government would do its own bit, it was good to go. And that was at that point that we agreed that we must put pen to paper and then signed the documents. However, the only area of contention which the resident doctors were not satisfied with was the issue of no work, no pay. That section went to some. One of the things that we insisted and was put down was that nobody that took part in the strike was going to be victimized. So that was clearly stated, and based on that, we felt that in our own understanding and the ordinary meaning of nobody will be victimized, the Nigerian Medical Association, Medical and Data Consultant Association of Nigeria, and the Association of Medical Specialists in academics went ahead to sign the document in the understanding that implementation will be complete, that we will not be going forward and backwards, because the problem we face usually is that when once memorandum of understanding or memorandum of action is signed, everybody goes to sleep. And that is the problem. So there's this distrust, among workers, among government side. And this is not good for the country. It is not good for the country because we expect that those who work for our president should be honest, should be truthful, and should comply with the agreements. Because, 21 days of strike action for a country like this should not be heard by anybody. It's unacceptable. But the problem is that some people are not doing their work, and that is the truth. So many things are left undone. Otherwise, in my opinion, as the president of Nigerian Medical Association, this strike is avoidable. It's avoidable because in April, there was the strike. We were able to convince our colleagues, and they suspended the action, and nothing happened anymore. They gave a period of notice to government. Again, nothing happened. And until they went on strike, even when they went on strike, nothing happened. Now, the reason why the NMA had to intervene was the issue of the court. Once the federal government, and I thought that was a bit hasty, the federal minister of health did not, I don't think, did the right thing. I mean, going to court, and the court is now adjourned to 15th of September. That means there should be no work. Doctors should not go back, resident doctors should not go back to work until the determination of the case. I felt that is hasty. There was no reason for that action at all.
Well, Professor Oja, we'll talk about the court case.
Situation.
Yeah, understandably. We'll talk about the court case and, of course, the implications. But still staying on that meeting which you were a part of, where we saw the minister speaking about well, just before we came on the show, just right now. Tell us, what were the details in the MOU that was signed? As you referenced, previously we had MOA, sometimes MOTOS, but this time it's an MOU, and you signed it. What is in it?
Well, it is difficult for me to give you one by one. There are about 12 items that we discussed, and they were all resolved, ranging from house officers, ranging from doctors who are in locum that will be migrated, ranging from the outstanding consequential allowance or shortfall, as we call it. There were quite many, but we resolved all of them. I mean, that is the truth, provided the government will fulfill its aspect of the bargain.
So when you say
so
we,
that was not an issue at all, because at each stage, each one by one, we went through, discussed. Once it was satisfied, then we then went to the other one, and we went one by one, and it was a friendly disposition. But the issue, I think, the issue that is in contention is the issue of victimization. And because of distrust, the resident doctors did not feel comfortable to sign the document.
Okay, so when you say we resolved,
we believe that if...
Pardon me, let me just drop this. When you say we resolved all of them, so you're saying that, yes, there were issues that you agreed on, but still there were issues that were not agreed on?
No, that was just one issue. The issue of victimization. That was the only thing left. Every other thing was thoroughly trashed out and agreed upon. But so what was what the
just a moment, Prof. Now, again, following up on that we part of it, who are the we in this case? Is it NMA and government? Because, I mean, NMA already given reasons why they didn't sign the MOU.
No, I don't understand. NMA is not on strike. NMA is not on strike. What NMA...
Who signed the MOU?
So, hello?
Who signed the MOU in this case?
No. The MOU is signed by so many groups. Permanent Secretary, Head of Service, Permanent Secretary, Health, Permanent Secretary, Labor, MDCN, and then on the side of the doctor, the NMA, the Medical and Dental Consultant Association of Nigeria, the medical and dental specialists in academics, we all signed the MOU, except the resident doctors.
So isn't that the
strike? What NMA is doing is intervention.
Oh, okay. So now that the resident doctors have not signed the MOU, they are insisting that the strike continues. Aren't they the ones that were supposed to sign the MOU and end the strike? Or are those other agencies that signed it on strike as well?
Well, the reality is that the MOU was signed in an understanding that all aspects of the demand will be met. And as we talked now, nothing even has happened. All we have signed, all we have done was to sign an MOU in the promise and in the understanding that the government will fulfill its own side. And I'm sure they should, because this is the order of the president. I don't think any other person can violate the order of the president. And I believe that the MDAs, the ministers, the responsible officers should implement the MOU, and so that the resident doctors can go back to work.
Okay, Professor Oja, this is like deja vu of some sort, because I recall March, April, we had this same conversation with you. In fact, an MOA, I believe, was signed at that time. And the question now is, it was signed, the strike resumed anyway, and that's where we are right now. So what is the value of an MOU, MOA, when after it is signed, the doctors eventually still go on strike? And I mean, I imagine that it was on the president's order at that time as well. So what is different this time around?
Well, let me just say this, that if the MOU or MOA, as the case may be, was signed and implemented, there will be no reason for any. In fact, everybody should be doing a job. But the unfortunate thing is that once MOU and MOA is signed, we all go to sleep. And that is the aspect that we want to appeal to Mr. President, because it disrupts the system. Why is it that MOUs are signed and the responsible officers will not do their job? And that is the problem we face.
So are we dealing with this problem? Prof, are we dealing with that particular problem?
Bad light.
This problem you mentioned, are we dealing with it? Because if an MOA was signed and you said some people went to sleep, who are the people that went to sleep? Are they awake right now? What was done as a result of those people going to sleep? Really, are we addressing that problem?
Well, you see, I have no power of enforcement. All I have said is that people are not doing their jobs. And it's the responsibility of government to fish out those who are not doing their jobs and do the necessary. Because it is putting Nigeria in bad light. You sign an agreement, and after that, that is the end of it. For instance, the issue of residency training fund. Why has it not been released up to now? You will say the process is on. The process is on from April till now. House officers, there were shortfalls. There were house officers that have not been paid. Circulars came out, and suddenly an NYSC doctor is no longer a licensed doctor. Why can such a circular come out? Who should write such a letter?
So, Prof,
an NYSC doctor is no longer a doctor.
Now that this MOU has been signed with all those groups that you mentioned, how is this going to affect the NARD going back to work? Because they are insisting that the strike continues.
Well, I think that what we need to do is to interface with the ministries of health and labor, because they need to do the needful so that the resident doctors can call up the strike. And
what is the needful in this case?
To work. Now, the truth is, the issue is about distrust. Because you finish and you go back and nobody feels that anything has happened. I think that is what we should appeal to the responsible officers to implement. Even if all had not been done, and there's a process, there's evidence that there's a process of implementation, I believe that the resident doctors will go to work. So
did the NMA and several other groups that signed the MOU prevail, or at least encourage the government to take off that case from court, such that the doctors can then have that confidence to feel we're not being victimized or punished for what is going on?
But that was also discussed, and that the process of withdrawal is on. But you know, these things are not done just one day. the problem is the trust. You know, if we trust that the responsible officers will do their own bit, then there shouldn't be any problem. But why do we have to be going forward and backwards in a country as well endowed as this? And unfortunately, as I'm talking to you, so many Nigerian doctors are leaving the country. And nobody appears to, the Minister of Health.
Yeah, pardon me, Prof. We'll get to that bit as we progress. But the minister, in the tape which we just heard before we began the conversation, said that that bit was not discussed. But you were saying that conversation about withdrawing the case in court held.
What he says that no work, no pay was not discussed. That's what he said. He didn't say, he said one of the issues. It's not the issue, it's one of the issues.
Yeah, but it isn't it the main issue?
Issue that...
At this point...
No, what I was saying was that the issue of no work, no pay was what was raised by the resident. That is the only factor. And the Minister of Labor, the minister says that they cannot say no work, no pay, but that no doctors will be, no resident doctors that participated will be victimized. Yeah, and there's no ordinary meaning, in my opinion, that no doctor or nobody who participated will be victimized. And I believe that that is inclusive of the fact that they have to be paid, you know, the whatever is due to them.
Well, with due respect to what you believe, but the NRD they're not on the same page with you on this particular matter, because they feel that, look, if the government doesn't withdraw that case in court, on what basis then are they going to continue the conversation? Because they feel that if that case goes against them, government will implement that matter. So isn't that supposed to be what the government should equally do, such that the NRD can then feel that, okay, well, yeah, we'll have every reason now to call off the strike?
Well, that is the element of, that's the component where we have to interface with the Honorable Minister of Labor. But in my opinion, if the government does its own bit, there should be no reason why resident doctors will not go back to work. They are not happy that they have not gone back to work. They're not happy that Nigerians are suffering unnecessarily. We are not happy that this strike is avoidable. They are not happy that when issues are raised, implementation becomes a problem. And we need to know why it is so, because I really don't understand. If we, I mean, like this meeting we had, if the president orders that this should be resolved, why should anybody drag his feet or her feet in the implementation? That is the issue. And we need to find out why. For instance, when we say there is brain drain, the question is, what has the Federal Minister of Health done to even find out the factors responsible for the brain drain? And as I'm talking to you today, there will be some interviews today in I think either in Sheraton or one of these hotels, from people coming from Saudi Arabia to come and recruit our doctors, very well-trained doctors, so that they can go and work for them.
It is
Why
clear,
would you have
really,
to allow that to happen?
I think some of the reasons people have to, or doctors, pardon me, I think it's clear, really, for some of them, it's the working conditions, the incessant strikes, the kind of facilities we have. Some of them will say government's attitude to healthcare and the rest. So we know these things, as it were. So I'm not sure if there's a need to commission some sort of research into it. It is clear. I mean, we can tell you for free, as it were. But the question is...
It's not clear. You have, those are speculations.
Interesting. See, well, these are things that are clear. The doctors themselves say it. We speak to doctors and they say it. But let me just put in this question. So you said that government needs to do what is right, and you said that consistently. You have been in government, as it were. I mean, you were a former head of NIMA, so you understand how government operates, at least the head of a government agency, let me just put it that way. So you understand how government operates. So when you say that government needs to do its part, who in government, who has been sleeping? Let us know these facts, so at least we know where to focus on, because government sounds very huge. Government is made up of different moving parts, or sometimes sleeping parts. So which of them needs to work?
But you see, when you say that, you are saying that I should name is it the officer or the ministry? Because the doctors are under the Ministry of Health, not even under the Ministry of Labor. What Labor does is to arbitrate. But the Ministry of Health should do its job. That is what we are saying. And not only that, okay, the circular written from the head office of the head of service, why should it suddenly come out to say that a house officer and a NYSC doctor will be removed out of, from scheme of service? What has necessitated that? A houseman is known from history. It has culture, it has history. Why do you have to create problems for where there is no problem? Why? A house officer is, an NYSC doctor is a fully registered has a practicing license to practice medicine. A houseman, by law, must spend 12 months in the hospital after graduating. Houseman is not a student. Houseman is a doctor and has temporary registration. So what is it that has brought this from the head of office or the head of service? What do they want to do? Who do they want to help? Whose interests are they protecting? Or a case of, we say a case of trouble they sleep and Yanga they can't wake up. Should we say that?
So, Prof.
So these are some of the factors.
From what we just heard you say now.
Out anyhow.
From what we just heard you say now, and in order not to misquote you, you're suggesting or saying categorically that the Ministry of Health is not doing its job, and perhaps that's why this is lingering.
Well, I would say that they should do better, because otherwise there's no reason why this. And of course, you know that the Ministry of Health does not pay money, but they have to create the process so that people are paid their money. Because nobody, I don't think any house officer or a resident doctor will go to finance and they will listen to the person, or IPPIS. So the process must start from the Ministry of Health. And then, of course, as it goes on, if it goes to finance, finance should do its job. Of course, finance in this case also includes IPPIS. Everybody should do his job. I think once that is done, we shouldn't have any problem. But we keep on going forward and backwards. So the reason why I have said that is not enough to just hear one person say this. No, we must document this, and by percentage, by gravity, by magnitude. It's not enough to say somebody say this is why we are doing this. No, it is left for, and it's not just knowing, the solution must be found. We must find the solution. We cannot just wish it away. And the only way, in my opinion, that this can be properly trashed out is a round table. We must discuss among ourselves. Why is it like this? In 1978, doctors left. In 1991-92, Saudi Arabia was the destination, and now doctors are going to Europe, America, Saudi Arabia, everywhere in this world. And they are accepted very easily because they are well trained. Nigerian doctors are very well trained.
Well,
and therefore anywhere they go, they are easily employed.
You know, add to that the fact that government officials also travel abroad
so that we don't
to get healthcare service. But I'd like you to tell Nigerians, Prof, help them understand, because you were at that round table that just happened. Did you get a sense of urgency? Because a lot of Nigerians today don't even know where to turn to for healthcare, because where they usually go to, the government institutions are really not operating as they ought to. They just focus on emergency, and they have to refer and turn back a lot of cases. I can't count how many people have probably passed on as a result of this. So did you sense that sense of urgency during the proceedings, the talks, and the rest. Did you sense it?
Well, it is very, very sad that many of our people are suffering as a result of this strike. And we are not happy about it at all. As to the sense of urgency, I tell you, we met on Friday from about 2 o'clock to about 12 midnight. We didn't finish. We started again on Saturday from 10 a.m. to again about 10, 11. Again, to be able to resolve this, that everybody, the resident doctors will go back to work. So there is clearly a sense of urgency. But the problem is that why do we have to wait until there is strike before there's urgency? That is the problem. Why, if we had done this in probably after the first strike, and we do not want to hear the word strike, it shouldn't be. But somebody is stimulating the strike. I don't know whether the instrument in government feels that it's only during this, after the strike is declared, that they will do what is normally expected them to do. I think that is the problem we are facing. So the sense of urgency is there. As you know, doctors are trained on emergencies, and we feel very sad, and we discussed it. People are suffering, and this is totally avoidable. And I am saying that on the directive of Mr. President, for whom we are very grateful, the people responsible must do their job. They should do their job so that in the end, we reduce the suffering of our people. We are pained. As the president of Nigeria Medical Association, I am very pained, and I'm sure that my colleagues in medicine are pained. That
all right, Prof, we need to wrap up now. So just a very quick one, Prof, before we go. Will you, or have you, as president of NMA, would seek audience with the Minister of Labour, perhaps on the sidelines, and perhaps prevail on him, or at least try and see reasons why that case should be withdrawn? Because that's one of the reasons why the doctors feel that no, we can't, because they think that some of them are still being victimized.
Well, Chamberlain, let me inform you that before I was one who cultivate this meeting. What I did was to go to the minister to say that we need to discuss it, because once the case was in court, he was not going to see the resident doctors anymore. And as the president of NMA, I cannot sit down watching Nigerians suffer unnecessarily. So I went to him with my Secretary General to discuss with him the need for us to meet. And so I can resolve this issue. But the beauty is that there was higher order. The Mr. President ordered that we must meet and resolve this issue. So I'll go back to him so that we can discuss again how we can easily wrap up this today, and hopefully the resident doctor should go back as soon as all the contending issues are resolved. And I believe that it is possible.
Yeah, but Prof, have you also heard that, because the doctors tell us off the camera that the no work, no pay rule is being implemented?
Well, I don't. That's one of the reasons why they did not sign the memorandum of understanding. I have to verify that. I have to go to the minister to discuss that with him, because I cannot say this here at the moment because I don't have full information on that.
So, Prof, in other words, as president of NMA, you do not have information as to whether or not your members are being, this no work, no pay is being implemented. Even till now, you have no information whatsoever about it.
No, I think that statement is not appropriate. Nobody has been paid for August salary yet. I don't know. I don't know whether you have heard anybody.
What part of it is not appropriate? That the no work, no pay rule is being implemented, and so they didn't sign the MOU?
Sorry.
What part is not appropriate? That the no work, no pay rule is being implemented or not?
No, you are saying that I, as the president, do not know. And I'm telling you that until the salary of August is paid and their names are not there, then that is where we will confirm that they are implementing no work, no pay.
Yeah, but you just said
Otherwise,
you go and get
whatever I
information
say
from
is
there.
speculative.
No, but you just said you had to get information. That's what you just said.
Of course, I need to go and get information.
That means that you don't have the information.
Have they paid salaries for August?
All right, Prof, we're out of time on this, but we do hope that at the end of the day that they can agree and let the doctors go back to work, because we're getting messages that different units in different hospitals are shutting down because the doctors are leaving for, you just mentioned part of the Saudi Arabia, among several others, including PLAB, which the exams that they had to pay of about 400,000 naira for to take. But we hope that all of this will be sorted. We do thank you very much indeed, Professor Innocent Uja, President of the Nigerian Medical Association.
Well, thank you very much. It's my prayer that this will come to an end very quickly so that doctors will start work again. And we want to plead with the workers, the government side, that they must listen to the directive of the Mr. President and implement this very quickly.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.